Afternoon. Welcome to the Fearless Fund press conference. My name is Rachel Nordlinger, and we are so grateful today to host the co-founders of the Fearless Fund and their council. Today is a historic and precedent-setting day for economic freedom. A few housekeeping items before we get started. We will start with the council for the Fearless Fund, and then we will hear from the leaders themselves. We ask that you refrain from asking any questions until we enter the Q&A section, where you will be asked to state your name and the media outlet that you are with. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome civil rights attorney Alfonso David, the president and CEO of the Global Black Economic Forum. Alfonso.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us. We are here today to announce the compilation of a strong, diverse, nationally recognized, and deeply respected legal team that will be defending a venture capital firm, Fearless Fund, which was created by two black women and is now being attacked by right-wing extremists. Two women, Arian Simone and Ayanna Parsons, created a fund to provide economic opportunity to women of color who confront barrier after barrier to obtain support and investments for their businesses. And now, they are facing a meritless lawsuit in federal court that seeks to subvert the law and essentially shut them down. We are here to fight for the hallmarks of American democracy: opportunity, fairness, and a level playing field. At the core of this case is the fight for economic opportunity, which leads to mobility, which ultimately leads to freedom. You don't go into the field of venture capital if you're not a firm believer in capitalism. Our capitalist system allows people to rise above their power, the power of ideas and their hard work, the principles of fearless freedom. Arian and Ayanna understand this deeply, but they also understand that capitalism only works if we have a level playing field for all to compete fairly. Today, the playing field is not level. That is beyond dispute. Those targeting Fearless Fund wants to propagate a system that privileges some and shuts out most. They want us to pretend that inequities do not exist. They want us to deny our history. Their cynical legal theory is based on a law that was passed in 1866 after the Civil War, a law that was created to allow black people to enter into contracts when they had been denied that ability for decades. Well, we're here to say that we're not going to allow them to do that. We're proud to announce a robust and deeply experienced legal team that has been retained to vigorously defend Fearless Fund in pending litigation that is once again challenging their ability to support and fund women of color entrepreneurs. The legal team includes a nationally recognized law firm that has been named as the top litigation department of the year in the United States by American Lawyer, two preeminent and nationally recognized civil rights lawyers, widely respected and nationally recognized women's rights and civil rights organizations, and other nationally recognized law firms. Lead counsel will be Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher through his partners Milan Jason Schwartz, Sakia Salim Williams, and Molly Sanger. Co-counsel will be me, President and CEO of the Global Black Economic Forum. Co-counsel will also be attorney Ben Crump of the law firm Ben Crump Law. Consulting counsel will be Latham and Watkins through their partner Danielle Conley. Consulting counsel will be the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund through its president, Janae Nelson. Consulting counsel will also be the National Women's Law Center through its president, Fatima Goss Graves. And finally, consulting counsel will be Holland and Knight through his partners, Richard Harris and Andrew Grummett. We stand tall on the shoulders of our ancestors, and we also stand tall in the defense of fearless freedom. And now it is my pleasure to introduce one of our co-counsels in this case, who has worked tirelessly on behalf of women of color from Breonna Taylor, who was killed by police, to Henrietta Lacks, who had her cells taken without her permission. Please welcome Attorney Ben Crump.
Thank you, Alfonso. I am so very honored to be part of this legal team with these legal stalwarts who will help defend these beautiful young, brilliant women who started the Fearless Fund to defend them against the enemies of equality. When I think of this lawsuit, Arian, I think it's just another frivolous attempt to prevent the progress of women. You question why the Fearless Fund. You know, Milan and I have been asked over and over again, why do you think they picked the Fearless Fund to bring this lawsuit? There's so many other venture capitalists who have similar, objectives. Why them? And the conclusion seems to keep coming back to the fact that he thought they would be the easiest ones to pick off. Oh, was he wrong? Oh, was he wrong? You see, Arian and Ayanna are young, brilliant, beautiful, articulate women cut from the same cloth as Harriet Tubman, Eleanor Roosevelt, Fannie Lou Hamer, Rosa Parks, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They represent the best that we have to have a seat at the table. And they understand it's not just enough for them to have a seat at the table, but they want to make it where other women will be able to have a seat at the table. As the father of a 10-year-old daughter named Brooklyn, I am so inspired by what Arian and Ayanna have done to give my little girl hope that they will have an equal opportunity at life and liberty in the pursuit of happiness. And within that pursuit of happiness is the right to have economic freedom. Something that, when you think historically, has long been denied to women because of the American cultural society, the sexism, and the way that we marginalize women. And so when I look at my little girl and I look at her eyes, and we say, you can do anything that anybody else in America can do, I know it is made possible by Ayanna and Arian, blazing the trail for them. And so that's why I am proud to defend this lawsuit, this frivolous lawsuit. Let's understand what it is. It is a frivolous attempt to prevent progress of women. You need not think of it as anything more. But we, with the great council assembled, will defend it zealously and vigorously because we understand the importance that Ayanna and Arian were the first. And if they can defeat them, my God, they will come after everybody who believes in the American promise of equal opportunity at the American dream. And finally, when I think of what Arian and Ayanna have done, I think about it's an idea. It's an idea that they have put into action. But this idea that women too have a right to economic freedom in America. You know, we think of it as a bold idea, but it shouldn't be a bold idea. In 2023, women having economic freedom should be something that is as natural as us breathing. But we haven't gotten there yet. And that's what Arian and Ayanna have set out to do. Victor Hugo said, the great writer Victor Hugo said, not all the forces in the world, or all the power in the world, or all the armies in the world can stop an idea whose time has come. The idea for women to have a seat at the table and to have economic freedom is here. And this idea is being led by these fearless women who have founded the Fearless Fund. Y'all join us in exalting the idea of women having economic freedom. We ready for the fight. Thank you. And next, you will hear from Milan Dinnerstein, who is not only a great lawyer who works with a great law firm and is in her own right a great champion for justice, but I think most importantly for these matters, she is a woman who understands what it is like to confront bias, implicit and explicit. And I can think of no finer attorney for Alfonso and Janae and Fatima and I to partner with than Milan. So thank you, Milan, in advance for the historic work you're going to do in leading this litigation. Milan.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First, I want to say I just love the name, Fearless Fund. It's a beautiful name, and it excites me, and I'm truly proud to be here to represent Gibson Dunn and our team, because we're a team, Jason Schwartz, Molly Singer, and Sakia Salim Williams. We all believe in the Fearless Fund and what it is doing, and in economic freedom, and we believe in Arian and Ayanna, and feel strongly about their mission and deeply about the importance of what they are doing. This lawsuit is simply misguided and wrong. I think it's pretty simple. We look forward to demonstrating the simple fact that it is not illegal to support economic opportunity for women of color. And with that, I can think of no two people better positioned to speak right now but the founders themselves, Ayanna Parsons and Arianna Simone. Thank you.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. For those who may not yet know me, I am Ayanna Parsons, general partner and co-founder here at the Fearless Fund. I'm also joined by my visionary partner, Arian Simone. When we set out to start the Fearless Fund, we had one clear vision in mind, and that was to change the game for women of color entrepreneurs. Our rationale was simple. These women are the most founded, yet the least funded. They're starting businesses at a much higher rate than any other demographic, yet they lack access to capital, access to resources, access to strategic networks, and the education needed to scale their businesses. For us, not only have we seen these disparities in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, we've experienced them firsthand as two Black women who also happen to be entrepreneurs ourselves. For me, this work at the Fearless Fund is the intersection of my passion, of my purpose, but it is also deeply, deeply personal. I grew up in a small town in central Arkansas called Hot Springs. Growing up in Hot Springs, my two older brothers and I watched as my father worked his corporate job tirelessly during the day and moonlighted as a serial entrepreneur. We watched him start business after business after business after business, and he struggled mightily to scale any of those businesses. Why? Because he lacked access to capital and he had limited connections. At the same time, I watched my mother, who was a social worker, a community activist, an education reformist. I watched her go to work, and she worked tirelessly on education. She worked in marginalized communities, and she wanted to create a better world, starting with our town. I share all of this with you because activism is in our DNA. We could not sit on the sidelines and watch idly by as Black and brown women were under attack. We know that women such as ourselves have been overlooked, we've been marginalized, we've been underfunded and unsupported.
Amen.
I'd now like to turn things over to my partner, Arian, because now that you know our why, we'd like to talk more about the impact that we've had over the last 4 years, and it has been tremendous. It has been game-changing, it has been life-changing, not only for the women of color that we serve, but the communities that they serve. Arian.
Good afternoon. Arian Simone, CEO and co-founder of the Fearless Fund. My partner Ayanna said something that just struck my nerves and definitely touched my heart all at the same time. She said, activism is in our DNA. I'd like to share a small, quick story before I get into the impact that we have done over the past 4 years at the Fearless Fund. Activism is in our DNA. I was a college student at Florida A&M University studying business, where I met my partner Ayanna. And during that time, I opened up a mall-based retail store, and I had to raise capital for my business. And I noticed that none of the business investors looked like me. And I made a promise to myself that one day I was going to be the business investor I had been looking for. And that promise looks like the Fearless Fund today, backed by Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, MasterCard, Ally Bank, and a host of other corporations who've come along with us on this journey. I am proud to say that in these past 4 years, we have deployed capital and invested in over 40 businesses. We have also deployed over $26.5 million in investment capital. We have awarded over 346 grants. One of our grant recipients is even in the front row here today. In addition to that, we have awarded a total of over $3 million in grant funding. The work we do matters. Thank you. We have also educated over 1,000 women of color co-founders annually. And we have our annual event coming up August 18th in Atlanta, Georgia, our Fearless Venture Capital Summit, where over 2,000 women of color co-founders will be gathered to learn how to grow and scale their businesses. Now back to the statement about activism is in our DNA. I'm a daughter of a civil rights attorney and entertainment attorney who represented Rosa Parks. I grew up around Coretta Scott King, Rosa Parks, Juanita Abernathy, and Betty Shabazz. Activism is in our DNA. I'm a daughter of a mother who won the largest discrimination case in the state of Michigan at that time when I was growing up. Activism is in our DNA. I have led protests for justice against discrimination in my elementary school as a 10-year-old. Activism is in our DNA. As you all saw this morning on CBS Morning News, we are not scared. We are fearless. Thank you.
So we're going to open up for Q&A, and I will be very clear. It is to be directed only at the council, and again, to reiterate, state your name and your media outlet. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lauren Weber. I'm a reporter at the Wall Street Journal. This is clearly a test case by Edward Blum and a new organization that he's founded. What do you think of, your chances of beating? I mean, I imagine I know what you would think your chances of beating this are, but in terms of this being kind of a test case, being made an example of, on a legal basis, what's your defense?
We're gonna win. Let's just put it there and end it there. We're not gonna talk about the specifics of our legal strategy, but we intend to win.
Jerry Stengel, contributor at Forbes. If I recall, the last, or the Supreme Court decision, the people that sued really didn't have standing. Do they have standing in this particular case? How are you going to address that?
Again, we don't intend to comment on our legal strategy, but obviously you've raised a point.
A very important one.
Yeah, there are many legal arguments we will be advancing to not only defend fearless freedom, but to have this lawsuit be dismissed. But it's not appropriate at this point for us to start getting into what those legal arguments will be. Expect a very strong response to the complaint very soon.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Trick-Jones. I'm the founder of iWoman TV. I am a recipient of a Fearless Fund grant. We received $20,000. Thank you. And first, I want to congratulate you and on all the work that you're doing on behalf of people of color, of women of color. I salute you. I hope that you will continue this battle. Nothing warms my heart more than to see you not giving up and being fearless. My question is, in the context of these venture capital funds, Fearless Fund is not one of the largest funds that exist. Is it possible that there could be counter action taken against the many firms that do not give funding to businesses of color, since the proportionate number of Black and brown firms and women-owned firms disproportionately are chosen to receive venture capital funding?
We're here today representing Fearless Fund, and that's the focus of what we're here to talk about. And I think what these two women are doing, and women of color, is amazing. And we're here to honor that and salute that and defend that.
And we do want to recognize the point that you're making, which is very clear to all of us lawyers.
Yeah.
But to Milan's point, our principal objective at this point is to focus on Fearless Fund. We do have an unjust and inequitable system that exists, and there will be appropriate avenues to explore that. But at this point, we're focusing on Fearless Fund.
It is not lost on any of us, this intellectual, technical justification of discrimination, how they try to use the law to oppress the people who the very law was meant to empower.
This may be a dumb question, but where is the trial taking place, here in New York or elsewhere?
All over America. This is an American issue.
Yeah, and to answer your specific question, the lawsuit was filed in federal district court in the state of Georgia.
Okay. I'm Dominic with TechCrunch. Does any legal risk cascade down to the grantees?
So, without getting into the inner workings of the programs of Fearless Fund, I think it's fair to say that we are evaluating the best avenues possible to defend Fearless Fund, and it's probably not appropriate for us to sort of get into those details at this moment.
Okay, yes.
I'm Jessica Washington. I'm a senior reporter with The Root. My question is, I know you want to focus specifically on this case, but I am curious, do you view this as a larger existential threat to programs intended to help people of color?
Can I?
Yeah.
I just want to repeat what I said before. This is but another frivolous attempt to prevent the progress of women from having a seat at the table. It's not just about the Fearless Fund. It's about marginalized people throughout America having a seat at the table.
Yes, Jillian.
Hi, Jillian Glasgow, Sunday Best. I wanted to know for our average readers who may not know about this case, as we'll be publicizing about it, is there any particular outreach or way that the average citizen can give support to this movement and become aware of what's happening?
Most definitely, and I'm so glad you asked, because I was going to ask counsel, could I come back up for a second? So you gave me the perfect segue.
Yeah.
Yes, people can support us by logging on to www.fearlessfreedomnow.org. www.fearlessfreedomnow.org. All information is there on how you can help support this movement. Thank you.
Any other questions today? Okay, if we could get the principals and the leaders to come in the front, and we're going to take a quick group shot, please. Thank you. Tight.
Looking right here, please, to start. Right here.
New York State.
Thank you. Hey, Laura, you wanna? Right here. Thank you. Right here.